never-ending oscillator sections associated with the Arturia MiniFreak, and as if so many oscillators isn't confusing, we're into the filter oscillators, which is to say filters that are in the oscillator section, which makes, I don't know, is that confusing? It doesn't matter. Anyway, we are in oscillator 2's filter section, and let's see, let's get all the way up to where the filter we're looking for is, and that filter is the comb filter. The comb filter is really cool. Here, let's listen to this without the comb filter. Let's go just like back to, where were we? Basic waves, and actually nothing's playing because I don't have the volume up, and if you don't have the volume up, you don't hear the oscillators, but you will hear the filters. So this is just our sound, basic waves, sawtooth, and even just moving it up to the comb filter, all of a sudden we have this. It immediately takes that sawtooth and makes it into something really big and chunky and fat and cool. So what is a comb filter? Basically what a comb filter is, it's named for its shape basically resembling a comb, but a great way of thinking of this is, do you remember graphic equalizers, like the physical ones? I guess you could do this with a digital one as well. Just a row of sliders at different frequencies that you can boost different frequencies from low to high. Basically, a comb filter is like if you jacked like every other one of those up and turned the other ones down, you'd get kind of this comb shape if you were looking at it. And that's kind of what's happening here. Although it's not just that, it is that, and then the signal is duplicated and then shifted a few milliseconds away from the original signal, which creates a result that is that comb shape in the harmonic content. So, and then changing the delay time creates different timbres. So immediately we have this set up that where this is occurring. When we're using the comb filter, wave adjusts the offset, the timing offset of the duplicated comb shape. So as we move that, we can hear a really wide variety of sounds. Let's go all the way to the bottom. So if you think about it, there are a lot of different timbres that exist in that, even if we're not going to use this as a dynamic filter, but instead of just a timbre generating situation. I mean, listen to this compared to the first sound we heard. Or this. Or this. Or say this. Or totally bizarre. It's almost like a harpsichord or something. And there is some pitch shifting that's going on with this effect, which may or may not be a problem for you. So you have, even if you didn't do anything, you just shifted around in the wave section, which again is the timing of the separation of the second comb. You have a lot of really interesting timbres. So what happens with our timbre knob actually adjusts the amount, the gain of the duplicated comb shape. So as you turn it up, you're going to get more of the second one, which creates different outcomes. Oh, and I should say that your wave, the association with the timing between the duplicated comb and the original is connected to keyboard voltage. So you're going to get different sounds depending on which keys you hit. But anyhow, this is the gain of the duplication. So if we turn this all the way down, we don't have any of the second comb. we basically have the original sound. So it's in a way, it's kind of a mix between, it's a mix control of the effect. And as you can see, like adjusting how much of a mix you have can give you a variance in how intense the effect is. Whereas something like this is basically those really weird harmonics that we were hearing are secondary. So yeah, I mean, if you want to control the amplitude here, because like some sounds like this, the harmonics associated with the affected signal, if they are a little bit lower, they just become timbral elements. But as you turn them up, they become more frequency-like, and then you get really weird frequencies. Which might be okay if you're looking for synthesis or a really weird sound. But if you're looking for a traditional tonal sound, you're going to want the less affected version to stand through. Okay, and so our last knob, the shape, actually just controls, there's a filter on the end of it, a low pass filter. So if the sounds you're making are a little too intense in the high end, you can roll off some of that high end to get a more reasonable outcome. And sometimes you're basically rolling off all the weirdness to get down to something that is not as weird. As you can hear, and I don't know if it's just me, but there are a lot of really cool sounds in here. There's these little like artifacts that sound, well, I mean, to me, it kind of sounds like the release of like a harpsichord or something, some sort of physical, mechanical outcome that's happening around the timbre you're generating. And I think that's really cool. And of course, as per usual, as I always say, if you want to use the patch panel to affect these different settings, you're going to get some really cool outcomes. Really, really cool stuff. Okay, so that, and I am a big fan, that creates some really great timbres. And I mean, if you're going to do pads and you want like washy variation in your pads, like setting a slow LFO set to the sample, the like lagged sample and hold. You're just going to get these really cool washy effects. It's beautiful. That is a really useful filter. And don't forget that you've got all that going on. And you can also have your normal filter. That's the cool thing, is when you're using these filter settings for the second oscillator, yes, you're losing an oscillator, but you're gaining a filter. So with that going on, you can also like have your normal filter doing something. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're using this. Anyway, that is the comb filter found on the Arturia MiniFreak's oscillator, second oscillator section.